Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're here to discuss The Way of Kings. You should know all of these lovely people by now, but just in case, do you want to introduce yourself, starting with Jesse?
Hi, I'm Jessie. My channel is The Bookish Mom, and I read mainly sci-fi and fantasy. And this is my first reread of Way of Kings.
All right, I'm Angela. I read things, probably fantasy and sci-fi. I don't know. My brain's still waking up, and I'm not even like as tired as Roger. So, hi, I'm Angela. I'm gonna go close my door because I think Ryan just picked up a phone call, and I can't tell if you guys can hear him or not.
Hello, I'm Roger. I woke up 10 minutes ago. And this is also my first time doing a reread of Way of Kings when I've read it before.
Nice.
Oh, I guess I forgot to say that this was my 5th time reading this goddamn book. But
So you're the expert here, is what we're
Expert
hearing.
Angela. Yeah.
Yeah. Christy is also up at the crack of dawn, just like you are, Roger.
Yeah, that's
dedication.
Yeah.
This one's not as bad. I think the first live show I ever did with Evie was Winter Night, and it was at like 5 a.m. It was something obscene.
Oh, it's because they were trying to get, I think, Igor in, and he was in like Russia.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
Sometimes there are certain time zones that play nicer together than others. Like try to get UK and Australia at the same time, and someone's tired.
yes.
So I guess so let's just jump in. Do we want to start with spoiler free? Oh, and I'm sorry. This is my first time rereading this. I didn't even mention that. So this is my first reread. So I was excited to get back into it. And I remembered surprisingly less than I thought I did. So
that's what makes rereads fun, though. Like, that's good. That's a feature, not a bug.
Yes. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
What's a good time? I also remembered less. I was like, oh, I remember this book fine. And then I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I do think I'm at the point of rereading Way of Kings where I finally at least know what happens in Words of Radiance. Because what I think can happen, especially with long series, is you think it all happens much closer together than you think it does. But this one I remember, no, we don't have the whole gang together on the Shattered Plains yet. We're just doing XYZ arcs. It's just this part.
Yeah.
But in terms of stuff that happens in this book, it allowed me to like notice when Sanderson actually was pairing certain like thematic moments together a little bit better. And I don't know. I do think for me, kind of like when we talked about Elantris last year, it's like, it's such a cozy read. I know the beats. It doesn't make it worse. It's like when I'm rewatching Lion King or something. It's like, yeah, but I just want to get to that favorite part.
Yes. Hello. We have a lot of Californians here today.
Yeah.
California needs to, you guys should sleep more.
Right?
I almost did.
Oh no, we lost Stephanie, who's in charge.
Oh, no.
Well, hopefully she'll be back.
What do we do now?
Well, Roger can give some spoiler-free thoughts.
No, she's back.
I got a new mouse and I accidentally hit the wrong button. I apologize.
Oops, it happens.
Oh my gosh. And Ben. Hello.
This is a hopping live stream. Stephanie, you're so popular.
I know. I have
everywhere,
I relate to that so much. Mine's not even a toddler anymore. But I have a 7-year-old that wakes me up.
I don't know how long I've been up because my Sunday mornings are I wake up, I go downstairs, and then I might sleep for another hour with the kittens. Like, I don't know.
Oh, even my mother's here. Hello. Man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good setup book because it still has like internalized catharsis, but it is truly like this is an epic fantasy series. We are setting things up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stacy, by the way, I don't know if you're in I think it's Victoria's Discord. This was her first time reading it and she made so many predictions that I would not have caught on to. I was super impressed. I can't do that.
Nice.
I'm not good at doing that either. Because I'm always wrong. It was cool going back and rereading it though, and like being like, oh, and like noticing the setup.
Well, and like there's definitely things I would say after you read Oathbringer, when you go back to reread, less so if you read Words of Radiance and reread, that you're like, oh, my perception of this conflict is very different now.
Yes.
Which is very fun. And also, it's really nice that this is just like so intimate versus the other ones. Like this is so small comparatively. Like you're just following like 4 perspectives. 2 of them are like and they're all like in their little locations and they have their little arcs, and it's just so contained comparatively. So.
It really is, because I was like, man, it feels smaller, even though it's a 1,000-page book.
Like I said, comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively, it is.
Roger, what about you?
I mean, I love The Way of Kings. I think it is one of the only Stormlight books that doesn't feel its length as much, because some of them I start to get a little bit fatigued, but this one I don't think I ever have a moment where I'm like annoyed reading it. So that's nice.
It's also like right before one of the characters starts to stress me out a lot in other books. So I can just become... Actually, all of them stress me out in other books, except for maybe Dalinar. I don't know why Dalinar doesn't stress me out as much as I think he does other people. But Kaladin and Shallan, they stress me out a lot in other books.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just kind of impressed, like, just looking back, that this book is a whole bunch of setup, and it didn't feel boring. It was so nice.
Well, and I think Sanderson's talked about it a lot, but I think he tries to make every Stormlight book feel like essentially a contained trilogy in terms of like his act structure and like trying to make sure that something gets accomplished within the pages of the book you're reading. So,
yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know if I have other spoiler-free thoughts, though. It's just a very long book. I love Roshar. I always love Roshar. I think it's such a bonkers planet. And I still like, every time I read the interludes, I'm like, oh yeah, there's people with blue skin here that we never talk about. People like shapeshift.
I totally forgot about all of that.
I forgot about most of the interludes.
I don't know if I trust him. He's just like, he's so predictable in a way that I'm just like, you're not stressing me out. Like Shallan and Oathbringer and on, I'm just like, what are you doing at any given point? I'm just like... And then Kaladin just has his cycles of internal conflict that I'm just like, sir, I get it. You're very accurately portrayed, but sir.
I got like extra emotional this reread. Like near the end, I was like tearing up. Like, this is so beautiful. And I don't remember like crying the first time I read it.
Well, we talked in we have like our own Voxer that isn't really like a buddy read chat. I don't want anyone to think that that's what happens 99% of the time we chat with
right.
But when I was like bringing up my thoughts, I'm like, guys, I think I can almost visualize this scene. I've read it so many times. And it was really fun.
5th or 6th times the charm for you. That's how many times you have to reread it.
My visual imagination is molasses. Okay.
Yeah, that's impressive. I was not that dedicated.
You're like that one character who's like trying to find all the spread in the world.
Yes.
Man, I note taking.
I was trying to be annoyed by the Spren like Leanna gets annoyed, and I just couldn't. I just don't care as much about the Spren not making sense all the time. Because if people don't know Leanna from Leanna's library, she really doesn't like Spren in Stormlight.
That's so funny. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's to her. Well, for her fantasy sci-fi experience, there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief she can or cannot acquire at any given moment, and the Spren broke her a little bit. She's like, well, then why isn't there a Spren every time you do this? People just can't lie in this world. Like I think overthinks it. Like, you're allowed to overthink something as much as you want in a fictitious reading experience. But for me, I'm just like, oh, they show up when they show up, and like, whatever.
Yeah, I just kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't.
To me, it's like the soft magic of the world. It's like, yeah, I guess there's probably technically like Spren logic for those who maybe don't know the cognitive plane as well. Is like, I think you would just need in the physical plane enough concentration of X to make the cognitive plane bleed through. So it's not like for every moment you're ever like sad or something, you're going to get a sad Spren. You'd have to be like astronomically sad or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Astronomically sad. Very sad.
I don't know. I don't need Sprens to make sense because they're representations of quantum mechanics, and that brings me enough joy to see me through. So, like, I've never had quantum mechanics be in a popular mainstream thing accurately. Most of the time, people just say quantum realm, and I'm like, that's not real. We have quantum space, and we have relative space. Anyways, I'm just happy that it's well represented here.
Plus, they're cute. Some of them. Some of them
Right?
less cute.
I mean, come on,
The
they're
Crane is
adorable.
less cute, but like.
But like, come on, a lot of them are just adorable. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, it's just one of those things. But I just love the environment of Roshar and all the rocky things. And then when we go to Shinovar with one of the traders, like how Shinovar is so like us. Like Shinovar should be the comfortable place. Like building wise, like it has grass, it has horses, it has chickens, which are different from the chickens that we'll see later in Stormlight.
Chickens.
But what's so good about like the storytelling is like even when I'm in Shinovar, the place that is most like our Earth, I feel like it's so alien compared to what I've been in. So.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen Princess Mononoke.
I haven't either.
I feel like I should.
But I appreciate the vibing unless they have plot significance.
Yeah, they're just there.
Also, my neighbor just decided to take a shower, so hopefully.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what we're hearing. We just didn't. I didn't know what it was.
I don't know how to make it quieter, but
yell at them to stop showering.
I think it's bothersome.
Yell at them to shower later. It's
It's
like
just
a rain
quick
machine.
little high storm. It's fine.
Go like get my broom and like bang on the ceiling.
Do we want to just enter spoiler territory just in case we say anything that might be a problem?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. So full spoilers. Oh, I saw a cattail.
I assume just spoilers for Way of Kings.
Yes, I guess. And then we can do a little bit later for spoilers for everything.
Yeah.
Kitty cat. Which one's this one? Is this Katya?
Yeah.
Aww.
She has to have her moment to shine.
She at least looks happy.
She does.
She does. She's like, she's vibing like this friend.
Until she has plot significance, then she'll scratch something.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is like I don't think I realized how big Katya was until I remembered that Roger's hands are the size of a mass market paperback book.
Yeah.
So that's a big cat.
A big cat.
At first I was like, oh, that's just your normal like 10, 11 pound cat. It's like, no, that's actually probably a 15-pound cat. That's probably a big cat.
Aww. She just
so
ran
cute.
away. She's like, no.
No, she's still right here.
How dare you talk about my size?
I didn't say
Right?
she was fat. I said she was big. Anyway, someone get us back on track. Who wants to talk about what?
Back on track.
Was
Spoilers
there
for Way of
anything-
Kings only? Is that where we're at, right? Okay.
Yes. So is there anything in here that you forgot that you loved, or any like plot moments that took you by surprise? For those of us who haven't read it 5 times.
I honestly forgot how much I liked seeing Shalon and Yasna's like interactions.
That
and,
was
like,
gonna be
her
mine. Yeah, they're so
being
fun.
like the apprentice, basically, like her ward, and like trying to win her over. And you're like, man, I forgot kind of about that dynamic because we don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our one book to get it, and I'm like, I forgot about so much of this, and it was so fun. Like when she walks out and she's like, they're talking about like philosophy, and she's like just like holding up all her monies, and she's like, look, we're getting mugged, and we're gonna just kill all these people. And you're like, oh, I forgot about that. She's like, was it wrong for me to kill these people? Here's your philosophy lesson.
Well, and piggybacking off of that, something I never noticed before is like, I think that chapter is right before a really important like philosophy chapter for Kaladin, where he starts to like respect his father more. Like, I think it's one of the flashback scenes where like people are trying to mug them. And I think that's the chapter. And then his father's holding up the spheres being like, fine, take them. You know, I've healed all of you. And it was like, it was the moment where Kaladin learns there's like a different way to be strong and fight. So I thought the dichotomy of like Shallan being like, this is someone I admire doing something I find apprehensible, and then Kaladin being like, oh, I'm admiring this person more. I just thought that was probably intentional, I assume.
Yeah, I appreciated I just totally lost my train of thought. The change of perspective
Oh yeah.
for some of our characters. My brain this week.
Right.
But yeah, like learning about other perspectives, like the when Kaladin and Dalinar were learning that the Parshendi actually had like a culture around their battle and things like that. I totally forgot about that.
Or like Kaladin's like fanboy love for Amarin in his flashbacks. Like
Yes.
he's one of the good ones. We want to be in his army because he's one of the good ones.
You sweet summer child.
Right.
It is so funny because like one of Kaladin's big traits for like most of written Stormlight is light eyes suck. I hate light eyes. All light eyes are bad.
Yeah.
That's like his internal monologue all the time. Can't trust the light eyes.
But I mean, you can kind of understand it. It's
Yeah.
understandable.
For me, I think it's how little we actually get about Stormlight in book one. For some reason, what I know later has just bled through everything. And I was just like, oh, we really just get like a little amuse-bouche that like something is going on. We really have no idea what the hell is happening here.
No, yeah, like all the training scenes for Kaladin learning his powers later.
Yeah.
Different book.
Yes.
Something I did like, that I like, I mean, I guess I kind of remember-ish how it happens, but it was fun seeing in real time. It was like, remembering when Rock joins Kaladin and when Gaz comes in, figuring out when all the people kind of start to believe in being, bridge form. I thought that was
Yes.
fun. There's one interlude that I still don't actually feel like I understand why it's there, and that's Shallan's brother, who like tortures animals and stuff. Like, I don't know why we need him. Like, why this is the focus. And maybe there is a reason in a different book that it all comes together, because I know Shallan's family, there's a lot going on with that in our plot, but it's just like, he's so boring and disturbing.
Isn't that the one that Money is talking about? Isn't his name Non-Balat?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad it works.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
Disturbing interlude.
It's just,
It
just
was.
pulling legs off of things. And
Yes.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that random like Game of Thrones scene where he talks about the person that he used to watch just like smash bugs.
Yeah, you're like,
You're like, why did I need to know about this child that you watch smash bugs? Cool. But this time I'm actually the person watching the child smashing bugs.
Sometimes things aren't understandable.
I mean, fair, but isn't Shallan enough?
Right?
Yeah. But I don't think we really touched enough on her
That's book two territory.
in this one.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh yeah, I killed my father near the end of the book. And then it was like, oh.
I don't think that's this book, Stephanie.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the next
it
I
was.
literally just read it. I'm very
Okay,
I know.
never mind. Well, then there's
She's like,
I feel
I'm
like every
confident in
book
this.
Shallan figures out more repressed memories, and I can't keep track of which book has which.
Yeah, but this one she
Right.
like explicitly said, I murdered my father.
Yeah, because I need a truth or something.
Yeah.
She's like, I killed my father.
I just believe it because Stephanie probably finished this like 30 minutes ago.
But I was like, that's the one thing I'm confident in remembering.
Well, now I'm
like,
curious when I
was in
read
this book.
Words of Radiance, because there's a huge reveal for her at the end of that, but now I don't remember what it was because I thought it was her repressing that. So obviously,
Gotcha.
there's something else that she's repressed this time.
Something
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
right with their whole family.
Yeah, no, they're family.
Also, I realized how much character growth Adolin did have on me because I hated him even more in my reread because I was like, this is why I disliked him. This is why I was an Adolin hater. And
Well,
then
he
later
has
on, I'm
to
like,
grow,
he's
'cause
not
otherwise
so
he-
bad.
He has to grow. And I think what is nice about Adolin is that you see, even in the short period of time of Way of Kings, that he's a dummy to his dad. He doesn't understand things. He's a little too Alethi and all that stuff. But then he does see new data and he changes a little. It's not
Yeah.
astronomical because how are you going to change your worldview astronomically when you're a rich boy who like the status quo helps you out? Like,
Right.
But we get baby steps.
He took
It's
some baby
progress.
steps.
yeah.
But I was reminded why I disliked him.
The frat dude of it all.
The frat boy. He's just so frat boy.
He is better than a frat boy, but he is just like the popular sportsy guy. Like
He
he's
wears
like a guy in
pit
sports.
vipers and drives a topless Jeep that has never touched dirt.
He does not get to drink enough to be a frat boy.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, he wants to though.
But
He
he
wants
wants
to, but he
to.
doesn't because he still respects his dad. A frat boy doesn't do that.
He would be, though.
He just needs to go away from home for a little bit.
He's a likable frat boy.
I love me and Adolin. I love me and Adolin.
You and Christy, who popped out of nowhere to just be like,
Like,
Adolin!
I just mentioned in the comments, I was like, I love that mentioning Adolin summoned you.
It does.
I do think Adolin didn't become one of my faves till. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze in a second. Oh gosh, till Oathbringer. I've like never sneezed on camera before. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need that sound.
You're
Anyways,
gonna have one of those
I think Oathbringer is
montages.
when I realized he's one of my faves because everyone else stresses me out so much.
Yeah, I don't think I liked him until Rhythm of War.
You didn't like Adolin until Rhythm of War?
Like slightly more, and then Rhythm of War, I'm like, all right.
He's a silly golden retriever of a
He
man.
is.
And golden retrievers are dumb. They just know what they're
They are.
told. Okay.
Yeah.
I never hated him. He's still not one of my favorite characters, but I've never been one of the people that's like, oh, this dummy dum dum.
I think
But
what
I
it became is like
understand.
I liked Kaladin and Shallan in early books a lot, and I don't hate them now. Okay, I don't dislike them, but they stress me out, and I can't be stressed for the thousands of pages that we are without someone to be my rock. And Adolin's my rock, and he has funny dialogue.
He
If
does.
Sanderson would commit to a poly situation, we would have the best. It'd be the best, but he won't because I don't think Sanderson's that.
I don't see him.
I don't
doing
see that.
But
But, you know, you never know.
you never know.
There's a whole second arc of Stormlight in the future. Maybe.
Maybe.
That's assuming any of these characters live in one
I
place.
know.
Like,
No.
Don't break my heart.
I still hold Kaladin will live, but still will die, and that'll be worse than him dying.
That's worse.
Yep.
It's the worst.
Yeah. I totally forgot how devastating and touching the battle tower
Yeah.
section was. Like, I remember that it was gonna happen, but I didn't remember all the little, like, Bridge 4 going back. I knew Sadius betrayed everyone, but I forgot that they were like, we'll follow Kaladin in. And then, no, we need to go rescue Dalinar and that whole thing. And it was just like, my heart. So
Yeah.
touching.
I just wrote down a note for when we're in a more open spoiler section because I'm like, oh, there's a thing about the battles that I find interesting. Maybe I'll like it more on reread because I at least know how chaotic it gets. And I think that's why I love rereading. It's like I know how far we will push a scenario. When I'm reading something for the first time, I'm like, wait, are you going to do that banana stupid thing? Please don't. Like, please don't. And I could never know how far she'll take it.
Yes.
Yeah. You do never know. I did like seeing all the Bridge 4 people like kind of their come together.
Yeah.
Because like in future books, you're just like, it's Bridge 4. But like seeing them not even get along at first, and you're like,
Well,
man,
and
I
like you
forgot
see
about-
the threads of other stories. So like the Bridge
Mhm.
4 is very synonymous with Elantris and Ro bringing the Elantrians together. Like it's the same type of arc of like, we are destitute, but you have a character that's like, but we are still going to survive and live and build something. And I think, because Way of Kings, I think, was in the works mentally in Sanderson's mind way before Elantris. And I think one of the reasons he wrote Elantris is like, I just wanted to write a happy character because in theory, Ro is supposed to be like happy Kaladin. Like Kaladin without the mental health issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. That tracks.
So, but I love that type of building a community trope. It's like I always called it the building a boat trope. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And then I love the Shallan apprenticeship trope. even though like it's never as much as I want it to be because I wanted to learn all the things.
And the weird guy that tried to kill him.
Yes. With the jam.
With the
Or
jam.
The bread
and
and the
jam.
jam. Yeah.
So weird.
She was
I
like,
don't know.
oh, the first guy that ever liked me just tried to kill me.
And then after she found out what happened, but I'm so sad that he's gone. And it's like, girl, he tried to kill you.
Right?
She has issues.
I know.
She just needs some love, apparently.
I don't know. I really liked reading the epigraphs this time around because some of them make, even though it's my 5th time, some of them make so much more sense now than they did even like my 4th time.
I'm still just in the dark on a lot of them. But
well, and a lot of that is like, I think there are things we learned about in Rhythm of War that really contextualize some of the things that are happening in the epigraphs. But it also just really makes me appreciate, because it's been like, what, 13 years since that first book was published. And it's just like I know he plans things. I know that. But like, also, so
the amount of planning.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Well, I can barely plan what I'm eating for dinner in 2 days. Like,
we have so many leftovers in my fridge. I'm pretty sure that's just my day. So.
Oh my gosh. I also forgot that Yasna's Fabrial was fake. For some reason, I just completely blocked that out of my memory. That she could soul cast by herself.
Well, and like what I think, I don't think we really have a strong answer for how soul casters work in the world, even with the 4 books we have.
Yeah,
but I forgot that those were real things that could work, because I always knew that she could just do it as one of the radiant powers. I think there's 2 classes of radiants who can soul cast, right? So there's like each radiant gets 2 powers.
Ish.
I think that's how he kind of did it, right? Like there's like everyone gets 2 powers, which is why like certain groups have like certain shared things, but they're slightly different. Trying to avoid talking about a character who joins a different class later.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Gavilar's still a dum-dum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how his mother does not respect him at all. Navani and Gavilar have the worst mother relationship I've ever seen. She doesn't even say hi to him. She's just trying to flirt with Dalinar. Like 90% of the time we see her.
She's like, who cares about my kids?
Oh, is my kid being a good king? We all know he sucks. So
right.
help him.
Oh, poor baby Elokar.
Oh,
that's right. I was calling him his dad's name. Sorry. Elokar.
Oh.
The dum-dum.
I mean, in all fairness, Gavilar is also...
We've only just started to learn Gavilar's nonsense.
Right?
Right.
Nonsensical.
That is something I feel like we get the answer probably in Words of Radiance, but I couldn't remember why the Visions chose Dalinar, and we don't get that answer in this book. I can't remember if.
Oh yeah.
Poor
the story of Elokar's life.
Worst Nepo baby. Adolin's a way better Nepo baby.
It really is. Like Dalinar had to like.
I will give him that.
Fight Elokar just to get him to like understand.
Right?
He's on his side.
And
I'd forgotten about that.
With him faking and like cutting the horse strap himself to prove like people, it's real. It's real.
It's real. I've forgotten like all about that plot line. I was like, oh, so who did cut the I completely forgot. And we got to
I remembered because one of my favorite scenes is Dalinar at the end going to him being like, you're gonna make me High Prince of War. I could kill you right now. Also, I'm dating your mom. Like
also I'm dating your mom. He's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of your guards. He's like, your guards are not gonna listen to you. They're listening to me. Like, okay.
Yeah. Although this does fall into I'm not going to say a thematic trap, but it's a repetitive theme that Sanderson kind of has. So if you remember in Mistborn, Well of Ascension times, we have Elend being like, I just want people to come together. We need to all vote. We need to be communally doing government. And then he goes, it's a time for dictatorship because blah, blah, blah. And Dalinar has the same arc in this story of like trying to get people to do the right things, but the Alethi are not ready. He's like, they are children. I must take away their toys. And I'm like, okay, authoritarian regime, here we go. Which does kind of get subverted a little later, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Christy. Yes, Christy. It's so good. Because I think I'm kind of like Adolin. It's like, I just want to see Dalinar be a badass. And that is proven because in Oathbringer, my favorite Dalinar scenes are when he's, war criminal status. So.
Yeah. Work. So true, though.
Which is not a spoiler because we just get flashbacks for Dalinar and you all should know he's a war criminal. Like, that's like a thing that he talks about. They are children. I just feel like it's such an easy... I just feel like Sanderson takes a lot of easy world building questions. Like, yeah, of course, if you set it up this way, the only answer is authoritarianism. But I've been reading a lot of other political sci-fi and fantasy that choose to challenge themselves, and it's just like, that's not what this is.
No, it's not.
It's not what this is.
Dalinar's badass scenes are great, right?
Yes. There is a scene in Oathbringer that I always remember will happen, and I always want it to be longer than it is. It involves a chicken strip, for those who remember. It brings me joy.
You know?
Like, I just remember we're all like, what?
And I'm like,
it involves an eating scene. He just got off bat. It's really funny.
Okay. I'm sure once I start reading it.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
It's really
now,
funny.
I was like,
it's not
chicken
important
strip?
at all. I just think
no, it's not. But now I'm like chicken strip. But then
it's like a chicken wing or something. I don't know. It's
something. I get it. I
like
remember.
The Roshar chickens that we just learned about.
No, so there's two types of chicken in Roshar. There's real chickens, and then there's the fake parrots.
Right.
All birds are chickens.
All birds are chickens.
All of them are just called chickens. Yeah,
They're
they don't
all
have very good language.
We don't know.
Oh my gosh.
What's your next question, Stephanie? This was such a good one.
Are there any characters you change your mind about on reread?
Yeah, the knife thing.
Yes, that.
I mean,
or nothing. If you're,
kind of Adolin. Like, I know I said like I remembered why I hated him, but also remembered like the character growth, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't. Since I don't hate him as much now, I'm like, I can see it at least. Because when I first read it, I really disliked him. Like,
I also think it can just, because I read him with, I think, a more charitable voice in my head, but you can also, I can see an actor playing it in a cadence that's very whiny or something like that. So I can see that.
Yeah.
I remember my last reread was my big one where I had this aha moment with Kaladin, where like I realized, this is actually really good chronic depression representation that he's had since he's a kid. Like when he discusses like the weight and how Tien was the only person who could ever like help him out. And it wasn't like, because, I think some people, they become upset or sad because of causal events. But then other people, yes, you can get depressed because of causal events, but sometimes it just shows up like a cold or something like that. It doesn't have a trigger. And you really see that in Kaladin's flashbacks. Because when you're in his present day, you're just like, well, yeah, of course he's depressed. He's a slave. Like, his life's not good.
Right? Like, makes sense.
So,
yeah, the whole,
Yes.
Oh, Hoyd.
Oh, Hoyd. We all love Hoyd.
I think I appreciated Dalinar more on this reread. I didn't not like him, but I think I really, even if it was to his detriment, I appreciated more how he stuck with his convictions. And I think I've been reading a lot of classics with people who like don't do that. So I think I just happened to notice it more in this one.
Nice.
So I think it made the scenes at the end more touching, especially with like the shard blade and, making Kaladin in charge of like 1,000 people and all of that. I think it just made more of an impact on me this time.
Nice. I think Renarin and Elhokar are characters where you don't get a lot of page time in the early books, but you get a lot of payoff in later books that really reshape some of the scenes.
I love Renarin.
Dude, Knowing
He's
what we
my
know about
favorite
Renarin
Nepo
now
baby.
is wild. I'm like really focused on every one of his scenes.
Yeah. He is my favorite Nepo baby since we were.
He's a good Nepo baby.
He's a good Nepo baby.
He's a good Nepo. Also, and someone's asking about the Blackstone. That's like, I don't even remember if we got answers in Rhythm of War. I feel like it doesn't come back around till Rhythm of War.
Yeah,
so
I don't even.
You have not read Way
was
of
there.
Kings, Shane Bowers. This is my best friend. You have not read that. Why are you?
Does he know about it?
The prologue,
Like,
but
you
like,
just got called out.
Oh,
He read the prologue, apparently.
yeah, I mean, it's in
Yes,
the well, it's in the second
is.
prologue, but yeah.
oh, that's funny.
I think we might know what it is by Rhythm of War, but Rhythm of War I've only read once, and that was like 5 million years ago. So.
Yeah, we do talk a lot about it, about what it was.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
I think
It's what I want to know.
it's in the. I don't know. I mean, I will say if he's only read the first 2 prologues, it is a question I had, and I forgot that I had it for books. That's a very Wheel of Time thing that Sanderson did. It's like, oh yeah, it's this thing we haven't talked about for like 5 million books, and now it's back. So, because I remember when I first read Way of Kings, I was like, yeah, what's the stone? What's in the box? Like, what is this?
Right.
But we don't find out in this book.
Or the next book. Or the book after that.
Right, I'm like, or
Got a couple
it
thousand
pays
pages.
off
Oh my god.
eventually, probably.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of, maybe.
Was there a character you changed your mind on, Roger? Or was everyone kind of the same?
They kind of were who I remembered them to be. I mean, I still really love Yasna and wish that she got more page time than she ever does. Because that's just an archetype of a character that I like. The one who knows a lot of the information and is kind of a badass. But I understand why you can't use her more because she knows a lot of the information that you don't want to give us. Fine.
I think unless he's changed a lot of book 5, because there is always a chance that he will change a lot of book 5, we will get more of her in the second arc of Stormlight, which excites me. I'm trying to be very vague for very spoiler sensitive people, but also this is not a chat for spoiler sensitive people. We're trying our best.
Right?
But
We're trying. There's an attempt here.
Yeah, Yasna is still one of my favorite characters.
No, I like her.
For sure.
She's also our age, guys. Well, for anyone in their lower 30s. She's our age. Everyone else is a baby.
I forgot about that too. And then I read it and it was like, oh, we're the same age. Like,
But then she's treated like she's like some old dowager.
I know. I was like, love to see it, but she's apparently an old maid. Like,
yeah, it's like, yeah, by the time you're her age, they normally have children. And it's like, oh, goodness.
I mean, that is true.
I
for a
mean,
I
lot
know.
of
When I first started this series, I was younger than everyone in this book. I think I first picked it up when I was 18. Like I turned 18, and I'm pretty sure Kaladin's 19 in Roshar time, which I don't know what that is in Earth time. So they're not the same technically, apparently, but I don't care.
I read half of it. Hey, that's half.
Oh, that's nice. I am so impressed. I will be. I mean, not that he doesn't read. I'm sorry. That sounded horrible.
I'm
It's a
so
long
impressed
book.
you
You
could
read
read
500
something that was
pages.
500 pages.
Right? I didn't know you could read.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so excited you read half of it. That's awesome.
Aww.
Oh, my connection I made this book that I hadn't made in previous books is that for me, Pure Lake is a lot like the Shire or like the Steadings in Wheel of Time. And it was very obvious that that's what they were meant to be, and I just never noticed. Like the people in Pure Lake, how they are the small town vibes. They don't wear shoes. They judge outsiders harshly. They talk very slowly. It's obviously one of those weird small town isolationist communities from Lord of the Rings or Wheel of
Love
Time.
it.
Like he even says, "Why is everyone so hasty?" Which is a loyal line. Like
That's a Treebeard line.
I've read more Wheel of Time than I've read Lord of the Rings.
I know.
Unfortunately,
I know. I just read The Two Towers, so that's very
So good. And you're doing it with the Andy Serkis narrations this time?
yes.
So good.
They're fantastic.
Kaladin is Bebe.
Yeah. I always
I
forget
know.
he's in his 20s because he's so mature.
I always like. it's not really stressful when you read the Kaladin flashbacks because you know where he ends up, right? Like, you know he becomes a slave and things are not going to go as his father wants, but still he's such a little petulant teenager. Like, it's like, I'm going to become a soldier. I don't know when I'm going to break my father's heart, but I'm going to become a soldier.
Right. He really wanted to be
Which
a
does
soldier.
show the propaganda of the Alethi way. Like, it does show that very strikingly, but
Right.
so now the Alethi are like a very frustrating culture. So it's kind of, I kind of understand why we focus on them a lot, but I do kind of wish we had characters from other cultures. Like, our closest is Shallan, but it's still a very similar, like the kingdom of Jaqavet is very similar to the Alethi kingdom. So, but like we do meet other people later, right? But they aren't main characters. And it's like, I would really like to know about these other kingdoms and how they do things.
Absolutely.
Maybe in the 5th book, because I know in theory, we have a vacation for Kaladin and a character to a place that will learn things, which excites me.
Kaladin gets a vacation?
It's not a vacation, but I'm going to call
Kaladin
it.
gets a vacation. That was what I was thinking too. I'm like, okay, that's a great.
If it actually
like
is a vacation.
I'm picturing like a JRPG vacation where all of a sudden we have like the obligatory beach scene.
Literally, like for some reason they're playing beach volleyball. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, anything good that happens to Kaladin must be off page. We've never met a girlfriend, so like even in this book, he mentions what's her face, Tasha or whatever. Who's that?
Yeah.
Saw nothing.
I mean, he got rocks from TN. Those are sweet moments.
Yes, so that we would be devastated when he
I
remembers
know,
how
but
his brother
you have
died.
to take your joy where you can get it.
take your joy.
Beach episode.
It's just gonna be like an interlude.
Okay, I don't know if this is what
Instagram
Christy's talking about,
posting.
but it reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I don't know if that's what she's referencing or not.
We need the beach episode, or we need the random obligatory like hot scene where they're all just randomly in towels.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, he'll be so broody because he feels like he should be doing something.
Like,
I know.
See, Oathbringer doesn't feel overloaded to me. I don't know. I mean, it's overwritten by a lot, but I feel like at the same time, I still am not where I want to be as often. I don't know. I was really happy that we had less Dalinar in Rhythm of War because I had a lot of Dalinar in Oathbringer, and
This is true.
he's not
I
a bad
just
character.
remember so little about Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. Like I remember Rhythm of War pretty well, and I remembered Way of Kings pretty well, but everything that happens to connect them.
No, Words of Radiance. I remember the ending of that book so well.
I might remember it better than I think I do because it might be one of those things that I like assume it happens later than it does.
Oh, okay. So that
It
makes
is.
sense why it's in Avatar, because like as a Western person who has not consumed a lot of anime, that's like
I mean, Avatar is also a very good example of it when she's like, "Your outfit is so pointy, you could sink a battle class ship," and you're like, "We could rule the world."
oh, Azula. We needed a Azula type character in Stormlight. I guess we get close, but I that's the energy I want. Odium's not scary enough to me. Oh, what did you guys think of Taravangian? Because we haven't really talked about him, and he has some scenes, and he has some reveals by the end of the book.
I totally forgot that whole thing. I
forgot he was
remember,
in this book.
What,
I
just
remember
creepy
some of the
hospital?
implications later, but I just completely forgot that entire scene at the end of the book.
His creepy hospital.
Yeah.
It's not even always hospice. They just take homeless people and bleed them dry.
And children.
You know.
Okay, murder hospital.
Murder hospital, yeah.
Like, yes, they will let people die naturally, but
But if they're not getting there quick enough,
Right.
We need the death rattle.
well, as we like get into the latter portion of this,
Yes.
we don't have to talk plot things, but can we like? I'm trying to remember the name of them because they're mentioned in the epigraphs of this book. But if you've only read Way of Kings, they don't make
So-
sense.
So
Like
we'll just
things-
do spoiler for the whole Cosmere that we've read.
What I
Well,
want
no,
to
she
talk about
needs-
that we might not be able to talk about, and that's fine, is like the things that allow for the people to talk when they die, the things that make the things that were in Dalinar's visions, and the thing that is the thrill that I don't know when we're allowed to talk about those things. I think they're called the Unmade. I don't remember. They're so cool. And that was a fun part of rereading this.
Yeah. Because I think we're pretty much read the Cosmere except for White Sand, right? I mean, I know we've got the rest of Stormlight, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know if it was considered too much of a spoiler for the rest of Stormlight for
Gotcha.
what we're intending here. I know we've all read it, like who are in the squares on the screen.
I
Who
mean,
are in the squares?
We can just do
Stephanie phrasing her spoiler bar.
All the spoilers.
I'm just saying the unmade are
you've
so
been
weird,
warned.
and I still don't really know what they are. But getting because I
Yeah.
think we learn about them the most in Rhythm of War, and like the thrill, the weird voices, like I don't know, it's just all so cool. And like in the epigraphs, you actually kind of learn a little bit about some of the unmade and what we figure out in Oathbringer and other things. I just think it's fun.
Do I need to go back and read the epigraphs? Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so part of the epigraphs are huge plot spoilers, so I can't bring up why they are cool to me. I mean, it has to do with big political things we learn about in Oathbringer and Rhythm of War with the Radiance and everything. Like, I can't bring those up. Like, this is just like a niche little world building thing. It's like when these big monsters have names.
Can you send it in the Voxer chat?
Well, I don't know, here, I'll type in our private chat real quick but somebody else talk while I type. Because I learned while teaching, I can't type and talk at the same time.
Gotcha.
So.
Demo. I don't even know what interlude you're
I
talking
don't remember that one. And I literally just read this. I read like the last 500 pages in the last 2 days because we moved our live show up a week. I don't remember.
All that's in my
And that's
brain
okay.
is the random cats from frickin' Fool's Errand. Pick up the cat. You'll feel better. Which does not help you with Demo as an interlude. Sorry about
I
that.
forget who's Demo again. Someone remind me what he
Demo
did.
is
We just
in
looked through.
Mistborn.
What did he do in this though? Who's Demo? Like, what did he do?
So I don't think. Okay, so I looked it up. I'm like, which one was Demo? Allegedly, people are thinking that he was the thinker interlude.
What's the
which I'm
thing?
trying
Tell
to-
me details about it.
I'm literally looking this up on the 17th shard right now. Okay, like, come on, we're copper mining this. We are.
Yeah, I'm just drawing a blank.
Well, I remember at Pure Lake, we also have the character from Elantris. We have what's his face? Who's always he was never happy enough for the stereotype of his region. What's his name? Starts with a G.
Elantris, I really need to reread that book. That was just a blur for me. I did not read that at the right time.
But I assume if we
fully
have a
admit.
world hopper, it's because Sanderson wanted people to notice world hoppers and be like, ooh, look, these people showed up. And some of them are chasing Hoyd. So
I think it is the Pure Lake scene because people are saying that
Yeah.
the three people that Ishik meets at the Pure Lake are world hoppers. One from Mistborn, one from whatever.
and we know from
Yeah. I mean, I remember who Demo is and Mistborn.
I just didn't know
Oh,
he
okay.
became a world hopper. But I mean, I think
I
part of
didn't
it
either.
is what we kind of know is that world hoppers from Scadrial happen more quickly, I think, than other planets.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that in Sunlit Man and stuff like that. Like they start imperializing a little more aggressively.
I forgot they were called world singers in Way of Kings too. That term threw me for a loop.
Oh yeah.
And then it was like, oh yeah,
Oh, seeing that character again, having read Sunlit Man was interesting.
it was.
Because I do think on my first read, I didn't, again, because the cultural world building was not really fleshed out. I just assumed he was another Alethi, even though they told me directly that he wasn't. I just was like, I don't have any basis for anything. So you're just going to be an Alethi, even though you're not. Because he's from the place where men are allowed to read and write. So
Right.
I think the next time we're at that place is with Lift, whenever we get her interludes in the next book.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that.
I don't dislike Lift. I don't like
I
Lift.
mean, I
I
don't-
Lift is fine.
I
I
love
don't
Lift.
hate her. I just don't look
I find her
forward to
annoying.
her.
I'm Team Lift all
I
day.
mean, and she always makes me want pancakes. And then I have to like, you either have to make them or go get them or like get over your craving for pancakes.
I will say, McDonald's doesn't do many things well. but I really like their pancakes. And that's
I don't know if I've ever had their pancakes.
I ate them a lot as a kid to the point where we never went there for lunch or dinner, and my mom would have to make sure we never went there after breakfast hours because all I would want were the pancakes.
Pancakes.
I called them the pancake place. Yeah.
Team Lift.
I'm not team. She's just a
Team
girl.
Lift.
She's just
Just a girl.
It's a girl.
She's a kind of annoying, neurotic girl,
That's
but
like-
sure.
She
I
is.
never
That's why
read
I like her.
Edge Dancer, and I'm just like, oh god, that's like 200 something pages of lift.
Of Lift.
And I know it's a fun one.
And it's like specifically about the pancakes, right? She wants to try all 13
Yeah.
flavors of whatever the hell.
Yeah.
10. I think it's 10. It's 10 pancakes.
I
It's like
just
the
remember
basket
her
Robbins
like,
of pancakes.
luging around the whole
She
place.
does want some pancakes. I can
Ooh.
relate to that. She's just
Something I
hangry.
also liked when they were recording Dalinar's visions and he's actually talking to people about them, how Navani keeps wanting to know about the tech in the past because she assumes there was a lot of tech because of soulcasters and things like that. And it's just like, they're really not high tech. And, we kind of know why later on. And it's just
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, I really appreciated the illustrations in this more. Like, there's one with that pain reliever fabrial that she made, and it was like an illustration, and then like 3 chapters later, it was like, oh, your shoulder hurts, try this. And it's
Try it.
I love her.
I really like the pictures, even in just the basic one. There are even more in the leather bound.
Me too.
And it's pretty impressive that Tor was all in on him to give him that many freaking illustrations in this large of a chunky book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mistborn was doing pretty good at the time. So,
But still.
yeah. And I actually, now that I think about it, because Wheel of Time was an Orbit book, so it's not even like he was doing them a solid. So, or is it Tor here in Orbit in the UK?
I think it's Tor here Orbit in the UK.
Or then if he was already, because when he had Wheel of Time, when he was writing Wheel of Time, he was working on publishing Way of Kings.
The Burning Kingdoms is Orbit, and that's US.
Yes, but some books, so Tor doesn't exist in the UK. So sometimes when a book is
Gotcha.
picked up in the UK, Orbit picks them up. So
Gotcha.
you can have I think House in the Cerulean Sea is Tor here and Orbit over there and stuff. But it can be Orbit in both. It's just, yeah. Sometimes Tor books get a
It's
different.
4 in 1, Orbit in both.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sometimes, like I said, that's why Tor.com does not exist in the UK. So it's really hard for our UK friends to get those novellas.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
For those who want to know about publishing, which I don't know a lot about, I just have a
I
lot
feel
of
like I
friends.
should have known this. I just haven't.
Well, I think it's all owned by Macmillan, right? So it's just whoever Macmillan decides which imprint to put.
Is Macmillan Orbit? I thought Orbit was a different one for some reason.
Oh, maybe I
Oh,
don't
I think-
remember.
Is it?
Is Orbit Hachette?
Hachette.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
Orbit's
keep it all
bad.
straight.
I know. I know.
I get so lost. I'm like, I don't know.
I just assume that one of the big 5 publishers owns basically anything I'm reading that's traditionally published in some way,
Pretty much.
shape, or form.
This is true. This is true.
What did you guys think of Dalinar's Thrill debacle? I always really like the descriptions of the Thrill because it is so alien, and then we learn later on in Oathbringer why it is this thing that it is.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool seeing it. And then you're like, oh, but I know,
Yeah.
Well, I think in the beginning, the first time I read it, I didn't realize it was an outside force. I just thought he's some weird,
It was
crazy,
your-
power-hungry dude.
But I mean, the fact that everyone it is such a private experience, and you kind of realize that there is this weird thing, but you didn't know it was an entity with a name, and there wasn't a reason other than maybe Dalinar's change in philosophy why he would start to feel sick. But then we even learn that there's a different reason he starts to feel sick.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I
Moab.
forgot. Oh yeah. I couldn't remember when, but I completely blocked out Sadius's. I remembered it once it started kind of happening, but then I just remember reading the whole series. It's oh, Moash.
Moash is so much. And he's always annoying to me. I never am not annoyed by Moash. Even on a first read, I'm just always "Oh, you little twerp. He's meant to be the foil to Kaladin or whatever, but
Yeah.
so annoying. bothers
He does step up in this one, but still.
me. Does he?
I mean,
step
at the
up?
end. I mean, he was Kaladin's second when they went to rescue Dalinar. I mean, he wasn't
I
like
mean,
horrible
yeah.
in the Moash spectrum. That's not the worst.
Okay, sure. Compared to what we know Moash can accomplish. Oh, also loved all the Ghost Blood references.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot that showed up this early, to be honest.
And so prevalently, all the symbols.
Yes.
I mean, it's mostly around Shallan. Like, Shallan's just all up in Ghost Blood adjacent things. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Katya's just like cracking me up with her, like, whatever.
as the Moash
She's baby.
is baby.
The Moash spectrum.
It's accurate. Yeah. And I love the scene at the end when they are all sitting around the fire. And it's like, this is relaxation. This is more relaxing than sleep. It was like, we ended on a hair of a happy note.
Just a little.
Just a little shred of hope.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like Moash. I don't think, I mean, even
Fuck
knowing what I
Moash.
know about book 3 Moash, I don't know if I would ever really like him. He's just like such an annoying little brown noser. I don't know. Still like
Yeah. He didn't bother me as much, but I was just focused on other characters more.
I
So
just
that's
love
kinda
Rock
like,
so much.
it's Moash.
Like the scene where he doesn't want them to know he can use a bow and arrow. Great. Fantastic.
Right. You're like,
Oh, that's a hard one. Without being spoilery, I think the one I remember the most is the end of Words of Radiance.
Words of Radiance was my gut instinct too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking either Words of Radiance
I'm so
or
tired by the end, and it's like a 300-page battle. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Rhythm of War is going to depend on what we get in Truth and Wind or whatever that title is.
Yeah.
Wind and Truth.
And see, I don't remember that much of Rhythm of War, even though I think I read that the most recently.
Rhythm of War's ending was the most MCU, like, in between
It
trailer
was.
ending.
I remember specific plot lines, but I don't remember like the ending as much.
Yeah, I just was so tired by the time I got to the end of Oathbringer, my first read. It was better my second read. Has great moments.
It's just so long.
Oathbringer should be 200 pages shorter. I will die on that hill.
I agree with that.
It doesn't need to be 1,300 pages. Nothing needs to be 1,300 pages. Nothing.
I think that
nothing.
Probably would have.
What are they going to do when they make leather bounds of those books? They're just going to split. Like, they're already struggling with Stormlight. It's like, I'm just saying that book was a lot. It was a lot.
I mean, that's what they used to do back in the day, like with classics. They would print them in like volume 1, volume 2.
I'm just saying, is it going to need 3 volumes to be well bound? There is a limit that the leather bounds can be bound in.
I know.
It'll probably actually still be fine. I think 700 pages is still okay. But
yeah. And honestly, with those, I mean, they're really like nobody's carrying them around to read them. Hopefully, they're more like at home, take care of them, keep them pristine type books.
Like me reading the Illumicrative Voyage of the Damned because I realized I can't get it anywhere else. So it's like on a pillow with me just touching the inside of the pages to like hold it open because I don't want to touch the sprayed nonsense.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I at least like about these leather bounds is that they will like actually open like a book. I hate reading the Illumicrate special because they open like this big.
Like, this one opens pretty good. It has like the nice ribbon binding and all of the stuff, so I can open
nice.
it.
I mean, I only have the Illumicrate's Burning Kingdoms, and I read the Babel, the Illumicrate, and I just hated it.
Yeah, some of them are just, I don't know what it is with UK binderies where they just like it's so tight and so much glue that it just like cracks the second you try to open it.
Judith told me, and she's from Oxbridge, so she has a, you know, she's definitively allowed to say this, but she says they have to be as repressed as their UK readers.
I love that.
That'd be real tight.
Judith cracks me up.
Judith is great. I miss Judith. Any other thoughts, concerns, Stormlight? We'll just keep reading them until we get to the 5th one.
Yeah, there's not a ton of
Keep on.
crossovers yet. It's more just like outside information you can bring in. Except for maybe these people that the internet argues about whether or not they are these people, because then they're like, well, but the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, I don't know.
If Sanderson wants me to care about the timeline, he will make it clear, and I will move on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not one of these people that's out here on the 17th Shard or Reddit arguing about, like, well, it has to be these 3 people, but it couldn't be because this timeline versus this. Like, I don't care. If it's important enough, it will come back around.
Exactly. Well, I am very excited about Words of Radiance. That's the one I remember most fondly. Even though I've enjoyed all of them.
What happens in Words of Radiance? I guess I'll find out.
The ending of Words of Radiance is bonkers, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Is it like the flying fight?
That's part of it.
Part of it
There's a lot.
in there.
That's the only part that I've got.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
You're in
There's
for
like
a
a
ride.
duel. There's like finding lost cities. There's so much. So much.
So
I love
much.
Words of Radiance. And then also, that's when you think, is Sanderson going to do a love triangle? And you get very stressed.
Yes.
That is also Words of Radiance.
Yeah. It's a ride.
Which also with the Katara people showing, or the Zutara people showing up. My Twitter feed is a bunch of Zutara fan people right now. I am not a Zutara person. I'm not even a Katang person for anyone who does Avatar. I just think Katara at 14 didn't need a husband yet.
I think that's a fair
It's
analysis.
a fair.
Yeah. So we will announce the live show for Words of Radiance closer to time. Whose channel is it going to be on?
don't
I
remember.
was recently, so it's not me.
Jesse, then?
It might be mine.
Okay.
Oh, I get Rhythm of War. That's exciting. I like Rhythm of War. So.
Yeah. So I will, when it lets me upload, I will link everybody's channel. I'll link Roger's Discord. I'll link the Cosmere playlist. And we will announce it in multiple places when we have the date set. It'll probably be, May-ish?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we have Words of Radiance and Edge Dancer.
Fine.
Fine.
I think about skipping it pretty often.
About skipping
Edge
Edge Dancer
Dancer?
or Words of Radiance?
Edge Dancer.
Yeah. I know.
love Words of Radiance.
I'm not super excited about that
Is
one.
it really important? I don't know. Dawn Shard feels important. Edge Dancer?
I'll let you know after I've read it again because I don't remember it very well.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of, so Victoria and Christy and Rich are doing a Stormalong 2024, like in conjunction with our Cosmere Along. So we're going to have Way of Kings Madlibs. I think it's on Christy's channel. I think it's March 23rd, but I'll post that as well. So they're having like Madlibs and reading sprints and like fun side stuff.
That sounds
Also,
fun.
I guess I don't know if the videos are still up. I assume they are, but back in 2020, they did a really nice slow read of
They did.
all of those things. So if you ever wanted to, and they were very careful about not being fast and loose about spoilers and things like
the way
that.
we are, you know.
So if you wanted like a really slow read along, those videos still exist, and they had a lot of good in-depth discussions. So yeah,
Yeah. I think
I miss Michael. He should come back.
I know. We were talking about him too.
He's busy with new jobs and kids and stuff. Adulting.
Relatable.
I just want him to make another blue chip video or hot chip video. That
Roger
was
doesn't even know who Michael is because he left BookTube like
He
right
doesn't?
before Roger
Right.
entered the scene.
Oh wow,
And
it's
he-
been that long.
He was part of the original Stormalong 2020 crew when they did their read through, and
He loved Way of Kings so much he read it like 3 times in 1 year.
yeah.
That's intense. That's dedication.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up, but thank you everyone for coming. Go subscribe to everyone. I'll link all the things when it lets me, and we'll see you guys next time on Jesse's channel.
Yay!